Welcome back to the Authority, Influence, and Profit Summit, where our mission is to bring together industry experts and thought leaders to share their knowledge and insights on how to enhance personal influence, establish authority in their field, and generate more income. Your host for this session is Deborah Hollick. Deborah is an award-winning productivity facilitator committed to enhancing individual and team potential, inspiring positive change to optimize work performance and increase profits. She has another amazing speaker coming right up. Take it away, Deborah.
Well, thank you so much. I am so excited to be here on the Authority, Influence, and Profit show today. And my next guest is a wonderful man called by the name of Ken Golde. And today he is going to talk to us about the F.A.S.T Way, F.A.S.T being an acronym standing for feelings, actions, speech, and thought, defining and expressing yourself for ultimate success. So thank you, Ken, for being here with me. And I'm just going to let you start the show and tell us all about yourself and about the work you do and the result or transformation that you help people achieve through your wonderful program.
All right. Well, thanks for having me, Deborah. I really appreciate being here and talking to you about the F.A.S.T Way. So it's funny, to talk about what the F.A.S.T Way is, I sort of have to talk about what the slow way is. I started my career about 25 years ago getting into the movie business. I've written and directed and produced movies here in Los Angeles, all of that time. When I started my career, when I was working on a couple of sets and I wanted to be a writer and I wanted to be a director, I was definitely approaching my career the slow way. And to me, the slow way is you have something that you want to go do, but inside you are doubts and fears and anxieties and belief systems about yourself and your industry and the world that get in your own way. They stop you from really taking strong action with courage and confidence towards your goals. And I started off the slow way, just feeling those doubts and, taking baby steps, as it were, at the time and waiting for feedback. And usually when people are kind of going forward in life the slow way, there's one of two ways to do it. Either your doubts and fears just stop you entirely. There's a lot of people like that in the world. They're working jobs they don't want to work, but they're not going after another job because of doubts and anxieties, or they want to start their own business, or even in their personal life, they want to date or get married or have children. The doubts and fears come in and they just stop us entirely. Or we're pretty good at bolstering, the momentary courage to go take some action, what I call the fake it till you make it route, which is better than not taking any action at all, to be sure. But the fake it till you make it route, most people figure out it doesn't really stick, because you go say, I'm going to do this action, but as you do it, those doubts and fears and anxieties are still there. So the F.A.S.T way is how to go back into the engine of what literally creates you as a human being. You mentioned what it stands for. It's feelings, actions, speech, and thought. And those four things, our thoughts, our feelings, our actions, and our words, they really define 100% of who you are in the world. Your thoughts and feelings define 100% of who you are on the inside, and what your perception of yourself and the outside world is. And your words and actions are 100% of how you express yourself in the world. So as you can see, if you jump into the end of the engine and just try and change your actions, but your thoughts and feelings are dragging you back into old perceptions and behavior mechanisms, it doesn't stick. So the F.A.S.T Way looks at this engine that everybody in the world operates under. It doesn't matter who you are, male, female, every culture, every religion, every nationality, globally, everybody. There's this engine. We go into the world and we take input through our five senses. Your hearing, your sight, your sound, your touch, your taste. Unless you're psychic, then you have six. If you are, teach me how. I want to use that one. For the most of us, it's through our five senses. We hear things, we see things, we feel pain, pleasure. And as soon as we take that input, we make an impression about it in our brains. And the way we make that impression has been defined over a lifetime of kind of defining who we are. We tend to interpret things sort of the same way within a certain range as we develop an identity or a personality. And the way you make an interpretation of the input you receive literally defines 100% your thoughts and your feelings. You think and feel about things the way you think and feel about things. That's why when somebody says, do you like to go camping? You say, yeah, I like to go camping, or no, I don't like to go camping, or sometimes whatever that is, you have formed a certain thought or feeling about a thing. And as your body and brain fill with thoughts and feelings, they come out of you through words and actions. Your words and actions are driven by your thoughts and feelings. You say and do things that express what you think and feel. So again, if you were to just jump into action and say, what I'm doing isn't working, so I'm going to go do something else, but the thoughts and feelings behind it are still the thoughts and feelings that have the doubts or the different perceptions of things, the actions aren't going to stick. In order to really get on a path towards creating new results in your life, you have to start at the beginning of the engine by changing how you think and feel about yourself and the world. And when you change how you think and feel about yourself and the world, that will naturally start to change what you say and do. Now you are defining yourself differently and expressing yourself differently, which will allow you to achieve different things than you can achieve driving the same car with the same engine and the same fuel down the same road all the time.
I so agree with you. Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, there's a saying that I've heard and I use often is your vibration is where you last left it.
There you
And
go. Wherever you
when
go,
you
there
think
you
about
are.
Exactly. We take ourselves everywhere we go. And sometimes people don't realize that. And it's exactly what you are saying. If we take different action and don't change those thoughts and feelings and the way we look at things, absolutely, we're going to just bounce right back in. So how did you start doing the F.A.S.T Way, Ken? How did you come about actually teaching?
Yeah, I've kind of had two careers for a long time. One is a leadership development coach and with my company there, I see Breakthrough Leadership Training, and the other as a filmmaker. I learned lessons through filmmaking, mostly about myself at the beginning. And then when I started directing people on movie sets, learned a lot of lessons about communication and leadership, which I then discovered people sort of like to hear along the way. And so I started taking more courses, reading more books, kind of just digesting the whole world of personal development. I definitely started off my path as a very, I don't know if it's typical, it felt typical for me, just kind of person who was closed down and thought, this is the way I am me, I must be me all the time. And if anybody ever questioned the way I am, I would get defensive. And it took a couple of years in my 20s to realize that fixed way of thinking about myself and thinking about my world, that automatic, this is how I feel about things mode that so many people grow up in, doesn't necessarily get us what we want. And making the shift out of right or wrong about yourself, to not think about like, if I'm doing this, it's wrong. If I'm doing this, it's right. Just get out of the conversation of right and wrong altogether about yourself and others in the world, and get into the conversation of effective or ineffective. Is what you're doing to build relationships in your life working or not? Is what you're doing to build your career or wealth or take care of your health or raise your children working or not? And if it's not working, to say, well, this is just the way I am and kind of bluster your way through it, isn't going to give you the fulfilling life that you want. To say, okay, this is the way I've grown up and learned to be, but I can choose to be and learn to be something different and act and speak in different ways and think and feel in different ways to drive those different actions and thought and words, so that I can produce the relationships and the results that I want in my life. That just started to be a much more effective conversation and way of being for me. It's one that I started applying in my film directing to the performers and crew that I was working with, and then applying it to my clients. And the way the F.A.S.T Way came about is, for many years, I've always worked with one-on-one coaching clients. I work with CEOs and entrepreneurs, business owners, key executives, and I do management team trainings for, $5 million companies, $50 million companies, $100 million companies, always one-on-one and in-person work. And I started to notice that there were a lot of people who couldn't get into what I do on that level. I would go to a management team training where the CEO was a client, and I would train their team in a group setting, but everybody on that team wasn't going to come hire me as a one-on-one coach.
Right.
They didn't have the wherewithal to do it. So I wanted to create a larger group setting for the same work. So the F.A.S.T Way is really the same work that I've been doing with my one-on-one clients, high end, CEOs and business executives for years, but brought to an audience that wants to get into learning how to be more effective in the way they think and feel about themselves in the world and express themselves to the world. So that's where the F.A.S.T Way came about, kind of as an extension of the coaching I've been doing for a while.
Well, perfect. Well, that's great. It's, wonderful how we all evolve as we go and find and, readjust ourselves, isn't it? What, maybe if you wouldn't mind sharing with everybody, and by the way, we've got some people in the chat, so I'm going to ask everybody, did you go fast or did you go slow? So if you like what you're hearing from Ken, put fast in the chat, please. And we'll see who's on the fast track here with Ken. And Ken,
I'm gonna interrupt for just a second, do a shout out to my friend Janae Jackson from Colorado. Hey Janae, thanks so much for
Janae.
on here this morning.
Perfect. Thank you for being with us. So what's an example, Ken, of a mistake that you made in your business that you'd like to share with others so they could maybe avoid something like that?
You do not have enough time for all the mistakes that I've made over the years. Well, I'll give you one from the movie business, and then I'll give you one from the coaching business. So the movie business, as a screenwriter and a director in the entertainment business, we're taught that there are gatekeepers and rules and the way things need to be. As a writer, you're supposed to get an agent. Your agent is supposed to call up producers and studio executives to send your material out, and you wait for them to set meetings. And at the very same time, we're also told that the people who really succeed are the ones who break the rules. And then you find yourself navigating this really amorphous path of, well, how much can I break the rules before the gatekeepers start punishing me for breaking the rules? And is it okay to call this executive but not that executive? And do I have to start a relationship first? And then when you do, and somebody calls up your agent and says they shouldn't have done that, your agent calls you and says you shouldn't have done that. I allowed myself to believe all of that. That was a big mistake in my entertainment career. I allowed myself to believe that I have to navigate and find the path and listen to my agent when a studio executive gets pushed too hard. And the result is, look, I've had a wonderful career in the movie business. I've written movies based on H.G. Wells novels and Isaac Asimov novels. I've produced movies with Rodney Dangerfield and Burt Reynolds. Cameron Diaz, one of her first films was a movie I produced. I've directed Barbara Hershey and Ron Perlman. Ben Kingsley was in a movie that I wrote. Ice Cube was in a movie that I wrote. I've had a wonderful career. But I can also look at my career and say, I did not get nearly as far or nearly as fast as I always thought and hoped and wanted and intended to go. And while I was in it, I didn't see what my contribution to that was. I just got upset and frustrated about the movie business, the way many people get upset and frustrated about whatever business they're in. It doesn't matter if you're a teacher or a doctor or a lawyer, or you're in real estate or you're executive at a company, wherever you are, if you're laying blame on the situation instead of taking control of yourself, then you're just suffering through something you feel you have no control over. That is all the slow way. That is thinking and feeling about yourself and the world in a way that causes you to speak and act in a way that isn't in your best interest. I was playing by the rules, and that did not produce the career that I desired. I got a wonderful career, but never as far as fast as I wanted. So whatever level, wherever you are, if you find yourself complaining, blaming, making excuses for why you can't do things, those are really wonderful indicators that you are justifying the inaction and the suffering that you're caught in, and a great trigger to say, oh, wow, I just said the same complaint to 3 people in a row. It's time for me to examine what I'm thinking and feeling about myself in this situation and change that so that I can start acting in a different way. And in the FAST way, there are actual tools. I have this one called Get Clear on Your Fear, where a lot of the times we think of fear as just a big, broad thing. I'm afraid of a consequence if I go do this thing. I'm afraid of being judged. I'm afraid of being criticized. I'm afraid of looking silly. And when you're just looking at that huge mountain of I'm afraid of failure, there's no way to really tackle it. But Get Clear on Your Fear is actually breaking it down. Write down as much as you can, 20, 30 things, the specific things you're afraid of, so you can get really clear. I'm afraid of this person criticizing me. I'm afraid of this actual tangible outcome occurring. And when you can get clear on the specific fears, you can reverse them and start telling yourself the positive outcome. This person's going to think I'm great for doing this, instead of this person's going to think I'm silly for doing this. And when you do that to all of your fears and reinforce it, that literally starts to change how you think about yourself and what's possible, which automatically starts to change how you feel. Instead of feeling dread, you start to feel excitement. And then your words don't come out as, oh, I can't do that. Your words start to come out as, I can't wait to do that. And then your actions follow suit. That's how the engine of the FAST way works. And believe me, all the examples of blame and waiting and hoping for something to change, that was all the slow way. And that's what I do with my clients. And I've worked with clients in 10 weeks. One of my last clients, we set a goal for her to ask for a raise during the course. And she showed up so differently at work that before the course was even over, her boss offered her a raise. Those are the kind of results that I see when people start working on the FAST way engine.
Wow, that's wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. I'm sure there's lots of people in our listening to us right now that could say, I'd like a raise. If you want a raise or you want to give yourself a raise, put raise in the chat. And heck yeah, to the FAST way, because, hey, we want everybody getting in on that. So do you have say an expert or someone in particular, a mentor that you feel you've learned the most from, Ken?
I've spread it out a lot. You know, I like to read and go to courses and take weekends. I mean, I'll be honest, I started 30 years ago with the Landmark Forum, which I think is a wonderful 3-day introduction to the world of taking off the fused rose-colored glasses on your face that see the world in a certain way and turning them around and looking at yourself. There's a guy named Scott Cody in Ojai who runs an organization called the Institute for Embodied Wisdom that's been a good mentor of mine. I've been part of a team of people who get together weekly and offer mutual support and encouragement and kind of breaking through barriers with each other. I'm going to do another shout out here to my friend Vincent Edwards, who is here, who's from that organization and done that work with me for a long time. And like everybody, I love Tony Robbins. I just read Ed Milet's new book. If you haven't read Napoleon Hill, go read Think and Grow Rich. I started off with The Tao of Pooh and The Way of the Peaceful Warrior, were some of the first books that I read. Dan Gilman. Every one of those is a gem, because every one of those people and writers and coaches is bringing their personal experience into play and showing you different paths. I love the FAST way. I do. I want people to come away with one absolute truth from this session. The only way for you to create different results in your life is for you to be different in your life. Outside of that, it's hope. You can sit and do the same thing the same way forever and hope for something different. But the only way to actually have control over something different is for you to be different. So changing your feelings, action, speech, and thought is the only way to go get different results in your life. There are a lot of people who have wonderful programs on how to do that. They call it different things. They approach it from different angles. I love the FAST way because I've seen it get great, fast results with people. I had another client come to me who'd spent 15 years building a wonderful business, and he was doing great. He was making multi-hundreds of thousands of dollars a year in his business. And I'm like, well, why have you come to me? Because most people who come to me want to get there. What are you looking to do? And he said, I could run this business forever and be very, very comfortable for the rest of my life. But I'm not sure if at the end of my life, if I look back and just say I did this business to make $1 million a year forever, if I'm going to be completely fulfilled with my life. How do I determine if I want to do something else? Because when I think about like going to do something else, it seems silly because I have this thing that's working so much. And we worked together on what his thought processes about himself were around being able to deserve more. And it really came down to he hit his threshold. Some people hit their threshold at $70,000 a year. Some people hit their threshold at $200,000 a year. He hit his threshold and felt trapped there. So once we got him to see that and say, oh, I can have more and not risk not having what I've built, it took about a month after the course ended for him to sell his company for, I don't remember the exact number. It was like $10 million. But
Wow.
that wouldn't have happened had he stayed in the mindset of, I don't deserve more than I have. We all have these self-limiting belief systems. So I've had many, many coaches and people along the way to show me different paths into it. This is the one that I've felt works the best for me and for the people who I've worked with.
Great. So we are getting really short on our time. I think we could continue talking about this for a long time, but I want to make sure that everybody who's listening hears about your free gift. And I think someone told me you had a VIP gift. Is that correct?
I do. I have both. So the free gift is a short report that I wrote called The Top 3 Ways to Stop Stopping Yourself from Going for It, Getting It, and Keeping It. You'll read it in about 10 minutes. And it really looks at this engine from simple steps. How do we change what we think and feel? Because a lot of people go, change what I think and feel. Like, how do I even do that? Well, the reason most people don't know how to do that, they've never considered it. How do I change my actions? How do I work in that engine? And it talks a lot about developing a practice for that. So you can actually build the muscle of doing it consistently in your life. So that's the free gift for everybody. Just opt in and you'll get the top 3 ways to stop stopping yourself from going for it, getting it, and keeping it. And the VIP gift is I took the first training session video from one of the F.A.S.T Way courses that I've already done and made that available to the VIPs so that after you've read the short report and kind of read in a short format what those 3 steps are, you can actually get into that video with me. It's me on camera teaching the people who were there and spend an hour where I take you through a workbook. The workbook is also available as part of the VIP gift, and do the workbook with me coaching you through it to actually begin to implement those 3 changes in your life. So that's the VIP gift, that first session of the F.A.S.T Way. And I should also say I have another F.A.S.T Way course starting this Friday. So if you jump in and you love it, jump in right away because I have another F.A.S.T Way course starting right away. And then I also offer a home study course where if you can't make the actual dates, you can sign up to just get the videos as they come along each week.
Perfect. Well, I'm going to encourage everybody who's listening to this call and any of the other speakers' sessions that you get the VIP, because we have so many great speakers, just like Ken Golde, who have so much to offer. And we really appreciate you giving those VIP gifts, Ken, because
I noticed
that is so good.
Troy put a different gift in the chat there.
It says
quiz,
retail
10% off.
mastery course. Is that the wrong one?
Yeah, he had them right at the top. Stop stopping yourself and the F.A.S.T Way. They're at the beginning of the chat. I saw them when we started.
Oh, okay. So maybe Troy, are you able to just do the beginning ones for everyone? It seems to be an incorrect link there. So if we can get the proper VIP and free gift chat there for Ken, that would be great. Well, Ken, we have less than a minute to go. Any final parting words for our audience?
I just really want to say thanks to everyone who joined in and jumped in. I saw some questions in there that we didn't have a chance to get to, but I'm around, and I think my contact info is part of the program. So thanks to everyone for joining, and thank you, Deborah, for taking me through it. It's been a pleasure to be here this morning.
Yes, it's been great. Thank you for the privilege of interviewing you. And again, everyone, sorry we weren't able to get to your questions, but Ken was sharing so many wonderful pearls of wisdom there and things that are are just so valuable. It was, we just didn't get there. So feel free to reach out to Ken when you order his, or pardon me, when you sign up for the VIP, and ask him the questions. He'd, I'm sure, be delighted to help you. So with that, we have to say, cheers.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Thank
Bye,
you
everyone.
for joining us for another amazing session of the Authority, Influence, and Profit Summit, where our mission is to help you enhance personal influence, establish authority in your field, and generate more income. For recordings of all sessions plus an amazing VIP gift bundle, upgrade to VIP now. If you have any questions or problems during the summit, email our support team at support@erfsummit.com. Stay tuned. We have another fantastic speaker coming right up.